Introducing Zentrix AI-powered trading signals service. Tired of second-guessing your trades? Zentrix AI scans the markets 24/7 with powerful, proven indicators built to give you clarity. You get 200-plus signals every day on 15-minute, 1-hour, 4-hour, and daily charts. We cover Forex, crypto, commodities, indices, and stocks, so you're covered no matter what you trade. And the best part, you get all this delivered 3 ways, every day. Web alerts give you fast, clean access right from your dashboard. Telegram delivers real-time entries, confidence levels, sentiment, and trade duration. And email gives you the full breakdown, including 2 profit target levels and deep market analysis. Just hold $5 worth of ZTR. See what you can achieve with powerful AI trading intelligence by Zentrix. Try it now. And join our Telegram channel. Introducing Zentrix AI-powered trading signals service. Tired of second-guessing your trades? Zentrix AI scans the markets 24/7 with powerful, proven indicators built to give you clarity. You get 200-plus signals every day on 15-minute, 1-hour, 4-hour, and daily charts. We cover Forex, crypto, commodities, indices, and stocks, so you're covered no matter what you trade. And the best part, you get all this delivered 3 ways, every day. Web alerts give you fast, clean access right from your dashboard. Telegram delivers real-time entries, confidence levels, sentiment, and trade duration. And email gives you the full breakdown, including 2 profit target levels and deep market analysis. Just hold $5 worth of ZTR. See what you can achieve with powerful AI trading intelligence by Zentrix. Try it now. And join our Telegram channel.
Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out, and of course make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you are interested, check out the AI powered signal service. I'm going to drop the Telegram link to the Zentrix community Telegram. You can check it out there. If you head to the pin messages at the top and scroll to the bottom of the pin messages, you see the link to the signal service. So if you are interested, a bunch of signals there, different patterns, different ideas across different time frames. If you're looking for different ideas, you can find some there as well. So check it out if you are interested. But guys, welcome back to another stream. So as always, we'll go through the USD side of things first, take a look at the dollar, USD majors, gold and silver. Any requests, let me know, stick it in the chat and I shall go through it. If you want me to look at a particular time frame as well, let me know, stick it in the chat, and of course I will go through that as well. But guys, welcome back to the stream. Raphael, what's up? Aussie yen short from current price. I will take a look at Aussie yen. Let me just head through the USD pairs first. And I'll take a look at Aussie yen for you. It's an interesting pair. I quite like the look of it. A lot of the yen pairs quite interesting as we ended the week off the back of NFP. A lot of movement, so I do have a lot to chat about with the yen pairs, Aussie yen included. Ivan, good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to another stream. Tashi, good morning. Hope you're doing good. Welcome to another stream. Lenny, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Euro USD, that is coming right up. Okay, let's get into it. So we'll start with the DXY, which was pretty bullish last week, but we did turn pretty bearish as the week ended off the back of NFP, which I quite like, to be honest, because I was looking for some retracement. It has made things look a little bit ugly on the higher time frames, especially with the candlestick closures. We have left behind a pretty big wick there on the last weekly candle, which does imply all the momentum we did see last week didn't really sustain. And the fact that the wick is pretty much bigger than the body is, of course, a sign of rejection there. Now, we could go fill the wick, and I kind of expect us to do so, but we also have to be quite cautious as well. I am looking for a pretty big retracement here for the DXY, because I do look at the market. To me, it looks very fatigued on the way down, and we have shifted structure. We've gone from making lower lows and lower highs to now making higher lows and higher highs. So I am looking for a higher low to form and then a continuation to the upside. But I'm being very cautious after seeing the rejection we just saw on the higher time frames. So dropping to the 4-hour chart, I like the buys, but I'm kind of looking more towards this area before taking any positions. Looking for a pretty deep pullback, especially looking at how price kind of formed and set up here. We had a very impulsive move to the upside, followed by a very impulsive move back down. This is your textbook kind of inverse V-shaped pattern, which tends to mean more downside. So I do think dollar is likely to keep falling, but I am still looking for that higher low and looking for a bounce in this area, which is where our last area of demand is on the 4-hour chart, around 97.8. So I'm looking for a bounce in this area. Now, I'm not necessarily looking for a bounce all the way back to highs and beyond. That would be a lovely swing if that was to happen. But I'm being quite cautious again because of the aggressive nature of that reaction after NFP last week. If I can get a push back into, let's say, this area where we've got some resistance lurking, I think that could be a nice trade, and then we'll see where we go from there. Maybe we break through, maybe we don't. But this is a really aggressive reaction. It's not like a slow corrective pullback, which would imply a lot more upside. It's a really aggressive one, and especially taking into account that the higher time frame trend is still, for the most part, pretty bearish as well. So you got to be extra kind of patient and considerate of that trend, especially when we're trying to look for buys and go against the trend. So I still like the buys. We still do have this bullish structure in play. Nothing has necessarily changed that. It's just that we're quite aggressive on the way down, which tells me one thing, we're probably going to get a deep pullback. And the second thing is we might not see that big continuation all the way back to highs and beyond. So I'm looking for a bit more downside for the dollar before I do start looking for some buys. And that is pretty much the same situation with euro. If I expand to the weekly chart for euro USD as well, you can see the same situation. Nice bearish engulfing candle, but did leave behind a pretty ginormous wick there. Probably about 55% of the whole candle is wick, which is again showing rejection. And if you look to our left, we had a pretty nice wick on this weekly candle not too long ago, which was acting as resistance, and now of course acting as support. So we've got a wick into that area, rejection, wick into that area, possibly could see a rejection or a continuation of the trend. So this is why I'm quite cautious with shorting euro, because we are respecting support and possibly we could see some more upside from that area. So being quite careful, dropping to the lower time frames. We do have, of course, this bearish structure which we're looking to trade, but we are looking for, or at least I am anyway, looking for a much deeper correction. You can see this looks like a big V-shaped pattern, very impulsive on the way down, brief consolidation, very impulsive on the way up. This is textbook V-shaped pattern. Now you can expect more upside off the back of that. Originally, I was looking for the retest of this area to short euro, simply looking for the break and retest of the prior low. But again, after that pullback, it's really aggressive. I'm not wanting to be shorting that straight away after that aggressive momentum. I would expect price to actually break through this now. So my next area of interest for euro is pretty much all the way up here. Lovely consolidation. We did see price spill over with quite aggressive momentum. So it would be nice to see price pull back into that area. Of course, that was our last lower high at the first high here. Drop, low, creates the second lower high. Another drop creates another lower low. So the plan is still the same, looking for a lower high and for us to spill over. But I'm just waiting for a much bigger pullback, taking into consideration how aggressive we were on this bullish move here. So yeah, euro still bearish, quite cautious because higher time frames, I can see the possibility of us continuing this higher time frame bullish trend. So staying a little bit cautious, not looking for a crazy bearish move here. I like the momentum we saw in this leg, which keeps me confident with the bears, because this was a very, very strong impulsive move. It wasn't like this move here, which was very corrective on the way down. This was quite aggressive, a lot of momentum, broke through lows with ease. So I quite like the shorts from that perspective. But after seeing the rejection and where it is rejecting, I'm going to be quite cautious with the shorts there for euro. As I said on the weekly analysis, maybe a push into this area makes the most sense for me, and then we call it a day, or maybe we do see some more downside. But that's about it I'm looking for euro, which we can be pretty confident with. As for pound USD, I still like the shorts for pound. Lovely head and shoulder pattern last week, and We did see the continuation of that. If I expand to the daily chart, you'll see it a little bit better. So of course, there's your left shoulder, there's your head, there's your right shoulder, that's your neckline, and of course, price smashed straight through that. So now the plan is, can we find a pullback to keep shorting this, to expect another lower high, just as we did over there, and keep shorting this to new lows, or at least a pushback to this low. Again, you've got lovely support here, which we turn resistance. That's kind of where I'm looking to short pound USD from. So pretty much just waiting on a pullback. Actually, let me mark up the level first. Pretty much waiting on a pullback into that area roughly. Now, pound USD, again, pretty aggressive reaction. Not as aggressive as Euro USD, but still a very aggressive shift of momentum. So I do think, again, pound's likely to see some more upside. But I'm still happy to short from here. I don't necessarily need a much deeper correction like Euro, because Euro is quite aggressive, pound not as much. So I quite like the look of this level at 1.338 or 1.34 we can call it. And depending on how we react with this area, I think this could be a really nice place for a short. And again, keeping it simple, back to lows would be a healthy target for this trade. And of course, the plan is just looking for the next lower high. So pound USD, still pretty bearish, still looking for more downside. As long as dollar can still see some strength, that should help pound USD fall. Lovely bearish leg there. Simply just looking at the pullback of that leg to keep shorting it. You got the 0.5, 0.618 in that area. That would be a brilliant place for a short. So just waiting to see if we can get that retracement. I think we will. It just comes down to how we react. If it can justify an entry based on the confirmations. If we do get that, great. We'll jump into some shorts and ride it back into the lows. But that is the plan there for pound USD. Dollar CAD, another USD pair, still pretty bullish on this one. We have come back into some tasty support, which could definitely give us a bit of a bounce. But I'm quite cautious with dollar CAD, especially on the weekly chart, because we have some major resistance just kind of floating above our heads right now. So as you can see, this was a major resistance. I remember discussing a lot about this level when we were trading here, when we got the breakout. Then, of course, price broke back within the level, and now, of course, it's turning resistance. So I can see a world where dollar CAD does see some upside to come back and test the level, only to come back down again. So I'm quite cautious of that area, not necessarily looking for a long-term move. You can see also dollar CAD left a pretty big wick there as well. So not seeing much sustained momentum with the USD pairs. We were quite bullish for most of the week, and of course, NFP kind of skewed that up very well at the end of the week. But for now, especially with the breakout of the consolidation, you can see prices being back and forth in this area for dollar CAD for quite a while. Finally, we've broken that to the upside. As long as price doesn't close back below that level, the buys are still valid, and I would still expect a swing to the upside back into 1.39, we'll call it. So still pretty bullish on dollar CAD. If we drop to the 4-hour chart and look at how price is moving, it's still quite flat, really aggressive candle there. So I do need to see some really healthy rejection to give me the confidence for a buy, because again, that was a very aggressive bearish move. It's not like a slow corrective pullback, as I would like to see my pullbacks in that manner. Nice slow corrective. That shows to me that, okay, it's most likely going to be a pullback, and then we should see the continuation. If it's quite aggressive, I tend to be quite cautious, as we have here, very aggressive move. So I want to be cautious. I want to see really strong evidence of price holding onto this area, wicks, strong shift of momentum to the buyers. Then I would be happy with some entries. At the moment, we're kind of just a little bit flat right now. So we'll see how things develop. Things can change pretty quickly. We might even fake the level as well, so keep an eye on that. But essentially, just looking for this area at 1.376 to hold as support, then looking for buys back into the high. If you do break through and especially get a daily candle closure below, this might be a big fake out, and that could open up the door to some shorts on a retest for us to spill back over. So watch out for that. But for now, we've got the breakout, just looking to see if we can get a retest and a continuation. So keeping it very simple. As for Aussie dollar, I quite like the shorts for this one. We did, of course, break out of that ascending channel, and now I'm essentially looking for more downside off the back of that. So this is the ascending channel. We cleared that last week. Now I'm looking to see if we can come back for a retest, support, turn resistance, maybe retest below the trend line as well. And from there, possibly we might see price spill over. I'm looking for us to achieve this support area around 0.635 at least. I think we can go further, but as from a trading perspective, I think if we can get a push to that area, that would be fantastic. So pretty bearish on Aussie. We have broken out the channel, so naturally I do expect more momentum. I do expect us to spill over. But when we are in an ascending nature like this, and we do eventually get the breakouts, normally it's quite impulsive. Normally the breakouts are quite big, and if you can catch them, they can actually be really nice trades. But yeah, it's the same situation here with the other USD pairs we just spoke about. Really aggressive push. Now we're approaching that support level, turn resistance. Can we see some healthy rejection here? If so, great. Get into some shorts, back into the low. You got this low to target, and of course, you got the level I just mentioned there on the daily chart as well. So shorts look really good for Aussie. Again, I need to see some really healthy rejection first because momentum's with the buyers after the NFP reaction on Friday. So I do need to see some evidence of some rejection, wicks, and price really finding it difficult to break through that level. If so, if I can see a nice shift in momentum, nice bearish engulfing candle, especially in the 4-hour chart, I'll be happy to enter some sells. Then yeah, I will be looking to ride that lower back into these areas. If price does break back within the channel, that's when I kind of back away. We've got another fake out on our hands. I won't be bearish at that point in time. But for now, yeah, I do think we can still spill over. So Aussie dollars is a good one to watch, especially if you're interested in shorting the USD pairs. New Zealand dollar on the other hand, not so much. This one again did break out the channel, similar to Aussie dollar, which we just spoke about. But again, it's not the best breakout in the world, and the opportunity is quite minimal here with New Zealand dollar because this is the support level which I'd expect price to get to, which is not too far away. We're already coming back for a retest right now. Possibly there could be some intraday shorts just riding momentum really. Again, for New Zealand dollar, you don't want to see price break back within the channel. That's a bit of a red flag. But if we can find some resistance here, that would be nice. But then again, you got that big bullish candle right next to you. I'm not too sure if I want to be shorting that unless I see some very strong rejection, really exaggerated wicks maybe. So New Zealand dollar, I'm not a big fan of. We already had a big drop as well, so I don't really want to be shorting at these prices without really strong rejection. That does really imply that, okay, we tried to break through, but we're fading. We're fading quite aggressively. We're seeing wicks, strong shift of momentum back with the bears. Then maybe the shorts could look good, but I think Aussie looks a lot better, so I'd rather put my eggs in that basket. But it's another USD pair. As long as we can hold this as a resistance, I do think we can roll over. So I can understand people keeping an eye on it, but not my favorite USD pair, I must admit. And pretty much consolidation as a whole, to be honest. So we're not free flowing as some of the other USD pairs are. As for gold, so gold, I am pretty neutral on gold for now. Again, the overall uptrend still at play, great, bullish from that perspective, but we are quite flat and still rejecting resistance here. So being very cautious. We've got support in this area here as well. I gave out two areas where shorts look good coming into the week. I said this level up here where we've got the daily highs. I think that's still a nice place to short from. And the second area I said was this area here, which is not as good, it's not as prominent. Again, when the market is ranging, you kind of want to be as high as possible. I always say, if you can sell at the highest possible price in the range, naturally you're going to be in a great place. Same with the buys. If you can buy at the lowest possible price within a range, you're going to be positioned well. Not that you're guaranteed walk away for winner, but if it does play out, you're maximizing your returns and you're placing yourself at the best area possible. So in this case, you kind of want to be at this level or even higher as well for gold. This is also a nice level. I like it because resistance here previously, we broke back below. This could be a retest for a push back down, especially if you're looking at intraday opportunities for gold. I think that could be a nice short. But if you're looking for a bigger swing, then I would wait for 34.40 around that level there. But gold is flat. So my biggest kind of advice for gold is don't get sucked in with momentum and sucked in with big candles, because when we are fluctuating, we are going back and forth, momentum is not being sustained. So be very, very careful about trend following opportunities when we are as corrective as we are right now. So gold is flat, just looking to sell high, buy low really. 2 levels to keep an eye on. This is more for like an intraday trade. I wouldn't look to hold a big swing from here. That's where I would be more confident to hold a big swing. So let's see if we can get up there as well. But yeah, gold for me, just really flat. Not looking for any kind of big move there, to be honest. And silver's interesting. We're still trading within this consolidation, which I do think we can see a rally from. I like what we're seeing on the daily chart. Wicks kind of developing there. Looks like momentum is picking up as well. It was a very aggressive drop we had there for silver, so I'm being quite watchful of it. I do think some shorts can come into play, but I would keep it short term. Momentum is still very much with the bears. With the bulls, sorry. With silver, so I wouldn't be looking for any big drop for this pair, but I do think coming back into these areas, depending how price reacts, I think we can see some nice selling opportunities, which could last for a day or two, maybe at least a push back into the low and then possibly walk away from there. So I quite like the sells, really aggressive drop there for silver. We had an aggressive rise, but didn't really sustain much and price came back down just as aggressively. So I kind of like the idea of a impulse pullback, another impulse to the downside. You've got 2 levels to keep an eye on, 37.6 and 38. And depending on how price reacts with one of those 2 levels, I think shorts look good in these areas. It's healthy pullback, but whip at the fib from the high to the low. You got the 50%, 0.618 in that area. That could be a nice pace and added confidence for the trade. So silver, short-term sells, I do like. Long-term, I'm still pretty bullish. I've spoken a lot about this level here for a big retest. I think maybe that's where silver's headed towards long-term. I think this is a great place for a buy, especially for a long-term swing. But of course, we're nowhere near that level at the moment, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. As of right now, I think there's still a little bit more downside to be had with silver. Okay, so where were we? Let's go through some messages. Alvin, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're well. Dollar yen hourly time frame. We'll take a look. I'll go through Aussie yen for Raphael. I have not forgotten. But we'll go for Aussie yen, dollar yen. Morning, Brian. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Trev, gold. Okay, we'll take a look. Forex is dead. You talking about in terms of momentum, or you're just not interested in trading FX anymore? Cease Integrate here. What's up? Hope you are doing good. Welcome. Glad to close all my positions just 1 minute before. Wow, fair play, good profits. Now just waiting. That is clutch for pullbacks and other USD pairs. Yeah, I'm still looking for pullbacks as well. A bit cautious because of how aggressive the move was on NFP, and some of the candle closures on the higher time frames don't look as good as they were before the news came out. But I'm still pretty bullish on the USD for now anyway. So yeah, looking out for opportunities that support that. Trev, no, you're short. I'm trying to long. Is that for gold? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not really a buyer of gold. I mean, sure, I can see more upside, but gold for me is just a very flat market. So I wouldn't want to be following momentum unless it's a breakout. That's the only way I'd follow momentum. You can see momentum in the past has just kind of fallen flat in its face a lot of the time here. So yes, nice reaction. It's looking good off the back of that. I wouldn't be surprised if gold does continue higher, but my attitude wouldn't be looking to buy, especially in this area. If I was buying, it's because price is at support. When markets are ranging, the only opportunities I see really at the lows and at the highs of the range, and that's just buying low and selling high. I know this isn't particularly at the high of the range, but I don't mind it because of the level. Ideally, you probably would want to wait for that area there, but I wouldn't be looking to buy to follow momentum. That's kind of one of my rules I try to stick with is don't follow momentum in a range because it can be deceiving a lot of the time. I'd rather just wait for the breakout if I'm going to try and follow momentum. But I understand if you're on the lower time frames, like 15, 5 minute, there's probably some short-term buys you can take advantage of there. I'm speaking more so about like the 4 hour chart. Anyway, let's go through Aussie yen and I'll take a look at dollar yen afterwards. Of course, any requests, drop it in the chat and we'll take a look. I'll go through my watch list at some stage as well. I quite like some of the CHF pairs. I think there could be some reversals there, so I do want to go over that. So yeah, for Aussie yen, really nice sell off. Of course, the yen was very strong after NFP, so all the yen pairs just dropped quite nicely, Aussie yen included. Very nice bearish candle there on the daily chart. Now, I did mention this on my weekly analysis. If you haven't checked it out, feel free to go and do so. It's the most recent upload on the channel. But I did say that I'm not quite decided about the long-term move with, well, quite a lot of the yen pairs, especially Aussie yen as well. Because the way I see it, price has been bearish for quite a while. It's had this kind of anticlimactic sell-off and price has pretty much reversed since the low of that move. And since then, we've kind of gone from making lower lows and lower highs to making higher highs and higher lows. So the fact that we were just bearish with this candle doesn't dictate the whole kind of shift in structure we've seen recently. The market is still kind of bullish from a structural perspective. You know, we just made a new higher high past this point here. So this is still kind of bearish to bullish. That price action is still in play. So, you know, that bearish candle doesn't change that necessarily. So long term, I can still see potentially Aussie yen, you know, having a bit of a tumble and then putting a higher low in and then continuing to the upside. So that's kind of still my long-term bias for Aussie yen. But in terms of right now, I do think there's some more downside to be had for this week. We've had a lovely consolidation here as the market created a new high. We've broken that consolidation to the downside. So what I'm looking for is strong breakout, retracement, bit more downside, then maybe the higher low does form in the next few days or maybe a couple of weeks afterwards. There's a big consolidation to our left over here, which is where price kind of built up a lot of momentum and then eventually broke out. I think this could be an area around 94.5, 95, where we could see price potentially push towards and then continue. So I'm keeping a close eye on that area. There's a bit of a fly here. So I'm keeping a close eye on that area there because I think from a bullish standpoint, there could be some very nice buy opportunities from that area. But for now, especially after the breakout we just saw, I am looking for this for Aussie yen, a pullback and then a continuation to that area. So that's the move for the week I am interested in. Possibly we might speak about buys as well if it does happen pretty quickly. But for now, anyway, just looking to follow that momentum for this week. And I pretty much have the same bias for quite a lot of the yen pairs. Strong drop last week, basically looking for the continuation this week. But long term, I can still see upside for quite a few of them, and we'll go through them throughout the stream. But as for Aussie yen, yes, I do like shorts. Maybe not necessarily now. I probably want to wait for at least a retest of this support level and see a rejection off the back of that. I mean, even if I drop to the hourly chart, not really see much of a rejection or kind of flat. So if I could see a bit more wicks there, maybe a strong bearish engulfing candle, that could be a nice confirmation to back up the shorts. But yeah, from this area, generally 96 roughly, I think that's a smart place for a short and at least to push back into the prior low. And I also like the look of this 94.5 area just below us as well. So that's kind of my thinking with Aussie yen. Looking for some more downside for the week. Long term, I still kind of have a bullish bias. So yeah, we'll see as that does develop. What was I? So yeah, hopefully that made sense with Aussie yen shorts. I'll take a look at dollar yen on the hourly chart for Alvin. Yeah, hourly chart. Okay, so we'll go through dollar yen next. Dollar Swiss. Okay, we'll take a look at that as well, Gan. No problem. See some greater trade. What time frame are you looking for? Long gold. Yeah, I think that makes a difference as well. If you're intraday, it kind of makes a bit more sense for the buy, but full hour, that chart is just noise to me for gold, so I wouldn't really touch it. Full hour and daily, really wait till session 9 a.m. Okay, fair enough. Even with the bad NFP numbers, you're still on the ball. Yeah, not really. I mean, again, I'm a very technical trader, so it doesn't really matter what the numbers are. If the technicals don't look good, I'm not looking to take a trade. And again, it's subjective. You know, I can analyze the market, not be a big fan of it. Someone else can analyze the market and be a huge fan of it and look to trade it. it does come back down to kind of preference and how you trade, because I'm not trading because I expect something to happen. I'm trading because there's a good opportunity based on my strategy and based on my analysis. And sure, there might be an opportunity there with gold, but personally, I don't see it. I look at this market, and to me, that just looks like a huge range. So I'm not going to try and follow momentum here. I'd rather wait for gold to do something like this. I know technically you're a little bit late to the party once that happens, but I'd rather wait for the momentum then and look for pullbacks, and hopefully something like that can happen, and vice versa. If the price does break something like that, I'll be more interested with the shorts there as well. When price is within the range, all I'm looking to do is buy low and sell high. That's all I'm looking to do. So I keep it very, very simple when things are ranging. And then eventually when we do break out, then I can talk about follow momentum. So yeah, maybe gold does rally off the back of NFP. I could see that happening. But again, I'm a very technical based trader. And if the technicals aren't looking good, then I'm not going to do anything despite what potentially may happen, because if I take a trade, I'll look back at the technicals and be like, why did you take that position? Oh, because I expected it to rally. Well, it's not really good enough answer in my case anyway. So I'm sure gold could rally because of that, but I'm not interested personally, and that's purely based on the technicals not looking that great. With dollar yen, so dollar yen hourly chart. So I actually do like dollar yen to the downside as well. Of course, a very, very aggressive reaction with this one, as we can see with those bearish candles there. And I do think dollar yen has more downside to give. I was talking about a retest of this resistance here as a nice place to short. I quite like that area as well. Kind of like a weird head and shoulder, a head and shoulder pattern. Got left, head, right shoulder over there. I could see potentially something like this happening in a continuation. So there's your impulse, lovely pullback, and then a nice continuation of that momentum. I think that would be a very nice opportunity if that could present. But the way I see dollar yen, I do have a bearish bias for this one. I do think longer term we can fall here. I'm looking at resistance in this area. We kind of just wicked into that area last week. Lovely wick into that area, similar to the wick we had over here. I do think price can spill over and see a continuation back into support, maybe even break through that as well. So I'm pretty bearish here with dollar yen longer term. I'm seeing evidence of that on the higher time frames. As the weekly chart, I'm seeing really nice rejection. Of course, you've got a lovely bearish engulfing candle on the daily chart, and you can see that momentum on the lower time frames as well. So dollar yen, I'm pretty bearish on, but pullback is kind of needed. I'm not too sure if we'll be shorting here unless you're kind of looking for a trade for like maybe 2 or 3 candles, back into the low and then call it a day. If you're looking for a bit more of a swing trade, then I would wait for something like this, back onto a significant level where I can put a stop loss above and really hold into that trade for potentially a few days, even on the hourly chart, and maybe even look for a push into the low here as well. That could be a very nice trade. But yeah, dollar yen on the hourly chart, I am bearish. I am looking for more downsides. Targets around 146.5. That's kind of what I've been looking for the week. We may just continue from here. There's a chance, of course, we don't see the bigger pullback, but ideally that's kind of where I want price to be. So I can put a stop loss above and then hopefully take advantage of that swing back into support. But yeah, dollar yen pretty bearish on. We had that strong drop on the yen pairs, and I'm essentially just looking for the continuation of that. Dollar CHF. So dollar CHF's been interesting as well. Another USD pair, which had a very aggressive reaction on Friday. The thing is, there's quite a few CHF pairs which I'm actually looking to buy this week. I'm not looking to buy them all, but they're all kind of shaping up well. So I'm going to pick the better one out of them, and I'll go through that shortly. So from a CHF perspective, I think CHF can be weak. I'm looking at Swiss being weak, maybe for the next few days, maybe for the next week or two. It looks like Swiss yen's also potentially ready to tumble as well. So I quite like the Swiss pairs to the upside, or I quite like the idea of buying against the Swiss. So dollar CHF, I think, does have upside from that perspective. Of course, USD I'm still bullish on as well, just not necessarily long-term bullish. So I do think dollar CHF can see some upside. The technicals do support that as well. It is still, I would deem, counter trend. Price is still respecting areas of supply to our left. We haven't necessarily broken through any major structure. This was our last lower high, which gave us this move down. Price is nowhere near to breaking through that. So the buys are still somewhat aggressive based on that kind of metric. Market structure is still down, supply is still down, but we are forming higher highs and higher lows, which is why I do like dollar CHF to the upside, because we did form this low, then we formed this high, then we formed the higher low, and of course recently we just formed the higher high. But of course, after the aggressive sell-off here, I do think dollar CHF again can see a bit more downside, so being a bit cautious to that. I like the buys from here, waiting for a much deeper correction. I think here's where we can see a nice bounce, and again, that's kind of where I'm looking for the euro dollar to get to. I'm looking for the DXY to get to, into kind of in and around these areas, deep corrections, and then we can look for some buys off the back of that. I'm not too sure if I'll be looking for a swing all the way back to highs there as well, but I do think we can see at least some type of bounce from that area. So dollar CHF, I like the buys from 0.798. I'm not necessarily long-term bullish with this one. It is still a bearish market, and we are still respecting areas of supply. So we have to show respect to that and take that into consideration. But I do like the buys from this area. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye out on. It's not my favorite USD pair. I must mention that as well. I think there are other better USD pairs to trade. I think euro looks a bit better. I think pound looks a bit better. I think Aussie dollar looks better even. But I do like that zone. So it depends how we get there, depends how we react, and that will justify the trade. Again, for me, half the battle is kind of finding the areas which you want to buy and sell from. The other half is kind of seeing how price gets there and how price reacts with those areas. And that will justify if the trade still is a good idea or not. So that's really what I'm eyeing up there for dollar CHF, and then we'll discuss, but hopefully there could be some buys from that area. I'll take a look at some of the CHF pairs since I'm on the CHF kind of topic a little bit now. I'm quite interested in a few of them. What's up, Yusuf? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I'm doing good. Welcome. Any pairs you're looking at, feel free to let us know. But yeah, as I was saying, I quite like the look of some of the CHF pairs. I think maybe CAD CHF out of all of them, CAD or maybe Aussie, might be my favorite. But to me, it looks like we're in a bit of a consolidation here. And I quite like the idea of potentially getting long on the daily chart. I want to see if I can get a strong close today that does actually kind of break free of all the noise. I wouldn't mind hopping into a long there with the opportunity of capitalizing on a big swing back to areas around here, maybe even back to the high as well. Aussie Swiss is a pair which I've been talking about buys for quite some time, and the reason I've been talking about them is because price is coming from all-time lows. If I zoom out, this is the weekly chart, by the way, you can see we've been falling for quite some time, but every time we do dip below and create a new all-time low, the market does have a pretty big correction afterwards. And I am expecting something of that nature in the next coming weeks. So I quite like the buys for Aussie CHF because I'm getting in early for that move, and it could last quite a while. So I quite like what I'm seeing, a very corrective push down, which tells me this is not probably a sustainable move, and price is probably getting ready for a big push up. I'm just waiting for a strong close here to kind of support the idea of price breaking out of this consolidation and then buying on the breakout with the daily candle, or even drop into the lower time frames to look for a retest. But yeah, the way I see it, Aussie Swiss, very corrective. It looks like we're forming a bottom here. Just need to confirm that with momentum. We'll see how today's candle does close. Still does have 11 hours and 14 minutes left before it does close, but I do think we're getting somewhere. So Aussie Swiss, definitely want to keep a close eye on. CAD CHF, same idea as well. We've just created all-time lows with this one too, which is actually taking out these lows here. Expecting a pretty big correction. If I zoom out, you can see similar to similar to Aussie CHF. We do tend to have pretty big corrections as well, especially one that has just been falling. I do think some upside is is very much on the cards. So I am being a bit cautious because momentum isn't really in my favor. The trend is against me, but we are at areas, all-time lows, where I do think we're going to form some lows, especially in FX, and see some upside pretty soon. So similar to Aussie CHF, bit of consolidation. Price did break to the upside out of that consolidation. It looks like it's come back for a retest, and potentially today's candle is going to give us the continuation. So again, I quite like the idea of jumping into some longs on the daily chart. 4 hour already picking up momentum. And if this can continue and definitely sweep the highs here as well, that's the break of structure you're looking for. Then you can look for some type of pullback, high or low. That could be a nice trade in like an hourly chart and ride momentum from the back of that. So quite like the look of CAD CHF here, especially on the daily chart as well. And again, targets at the very least to push into this area, but I would try and see if I can push a bit higher. Highs there, some highs there as well. I actually quite like the idea of a push to this area, but you know, that's a really big swing. I'm not necessarily banking on that. So yeah, CAD CHF to me looks like a bottom's forming, and we're getting ready for some more upside. New Zealand CHF, same situation as well. Looks like we're kind of consolidating. I wouldn't say we're ready to fly just yet with New Zealand CHF, but possibly a strong close that could convince me. Euro CHF, another one that has just been very, very flat, but again, looks like we're forming a bit of a bottom here, especially with this range. Looks like the market's kind of faked it to the downside and now see momentum above it. I'm not really interested in buying this one because it's quite flat, but I do think Euro CHF, again, long term, is getting ready to see some upside. And Pound CHF, another one as well. Not my not the biggest fan of this one either, but again, starting to consolidate. I do feel like this has the makings of a bottom, and eventually you could see some upside. But CAD CHF and Aussie CHF in particular, those two I like the look of. I'm still going to wait to the end of the day before making my judgment, but I do feel like we're picking up momentum to see some upside. So CHF, and of course I missed out another one, CHF JPY as well. That one looks good for me to the downside. We had a consolidation over here. Price broke out of it, came back for a retest, strong rejection. To me, looks like a top is forming, and especially since we've been so bullish, smashing all-time highs. I think we can at least pull back, maybe retest the high there, and that makes sense. So yeah, I'm kind of getting a feeling that CHF is weakening. It's been so strong for quite some time, but it looks like it's weakening, and the CHF pairs are forming bottoms. So I don't mind hopping into some longs on Aussie Swiss or CAD Swiss, and taking some opportunities to get long. I don't mind entering the daily as well, because I think there's a lot of downside or upside to be had. D-Bar, welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing good. What is up? What is up? Another pair which I quite like the look of on the daily. Well, two of them. Kind of deciding which one looks better. Euro Aussie and Euro NZD. I'll probably say Euro NZD actually, but similar to Aussie CHF, this one as well, very corrective in the way up. I do expect us to eventually roll back into lows and a lot further as well. This to me looks like it's forming some type of top. It is quite flat here, so I'm not liking the looks of completely. But to me, it does look like a high is forming. This is the 3-day chart. I think we can roll over and see a lot more downside, so I'm keeping a close eye. If I go take a look at Euro NZD, which is partner in crime, I like the look of this one, especially with that bullish candle there, because this is like, okay, if the trend's going to continue, I'm expecting it to clear highs and continue. If this bullish candle is just kind of like a last bullish move before we do roll over, sort of similar to what happened with Swiss yen. You know, Swiss yen gave us that last bullish candle there to the upside, kind of deceiving buyers into the market, and then suddenly we just turn around. I feel like Euro NZD is potentially giving us a similar pattern there. So I'm not quite convinced with that bullish candle. I do think prices getting to a top here where we could roll over, but I do need to see momentum start to shift again. And then that could be a nice entry again on the daily chart, back into the lows here, and maybe beyond that as well. 4 hour chart, we've had a really nice rally. starting to slow down here. Let's see how we do develop, but yeah, I'm not quite convinced we do continue. I mean, I'm not going to jump into shorts early, but I do think price is starting to slow down and get ready for some sells. So yeah, USD pound, USD, Euro-Aussie, sorry. I quite like the shorts on those. Not ready yet at all, but I do think they're getting ready. Maybe the next, well, I think sometime this week. But the CHF pairs look a lot better. Yusuf, thoughts on Euro and GU shorts? Yeah, so I quite like the look of them, but I'm assuming you're talking about like the intraday time frames. I think pound looks a lot better. Euro, I'm not the biggest fan of the shorts intraday right now because of how aggressive we did retrace. So I like the shorts, but after a much bigger pullback, because this was very, very aggressive bullish momentum we saw off the back of NFP last week. Of course, we had a lovely sell. Market's been looking pretty bearish. I'm still pretty bearish on Euro, and I still do think more downside is likely to come. But after seeing how price gave us that strong move, consolidation, and a very aggressive move back up again, this to me looks like a V-shaped pattern with a bit of consolidation in the middle. It's not your typical V-shape, which is just straight up and down. This is, you know, down, a bit of consolidation, back up again, which is the same thing pretty much. We're seeing that again over here. So I don't like the look of that shorting straight away, because I do think we're likely to see more upside. If I drop to the 50-minute time frame, I know we're looking quite flat here, but I would fancy something like this to happen. Maybe another push into support, and then we potentially rally off the back of that. Yeah, that's way too impulsive. So with Euro USD, I feel like we're due more downside. I was originally looking to short from this area last week, so that was actually the idea I had going into the end of the week and going to the start of this week, was I'm looking for the retest of this level. But because it was so aggressive, unless maybe we see really aggressive rejections, so I'm talking like big wicks and a strong shift of momentum, like a strong bearish engulfing candle, then maybe I could jump off some shorts there. But if I don't see any of that, if price is just kind of sideways or looking just slightly bearish, then yeah, I'm looking for much bigger pullbacks. I like the look of this area. Nice consolidation. That's kind of where I would like to short from, especially after such an aggressive move. So yeah, this area not quite cutting it for me right now. That could change if I see something aggressive, but probably not. This area, on the other hand, looks good. If we can get there, I think that's a smart place for a sell. And again, I'm not necessarily looking for a swing all the way back to lows here. I think I'll probably just call it quits around there, especially if I can get a nice 1 to 2 maybe. So yeah, Euro shorts I like, just not at the moment. Really aggressive move there. It does put me off the trade quite a lot. There might be some short-term shorts. But I wouldn't be looking for like a big swing back to the lows here. Not after the momentum we just saw. Pound USD, on the other hand, I do prefer because it wasn't as aggressive. So although I'm seeing some momentum, it doesn't really look like a V-shaped pattern to me. So I quite like the look of Pound USD seeing a bit more upside, becoming maybe a bit more corrective, then taking some shorts there, basically on the retest of support, turn resistance. I think that looks really good. So Euro, really aggressive V-shaped pattern. I wouldn't want to be shorting that. Pound, although yes, we're seeing some aggressive momentum as well, I'm not really seeing a V-shaped pattern. There was no really aggressive sell on the way down before that aggressive buy. So yes, aggressive push. I do think more upside is likely off the back of that, but my expectation is a lower high and a push back down, and just seeing the next swing high after those two previous highs. So keeping a close eye at support there. That level looks really good for a short. Drop into the 50-minute chart. Again, after such an aggressive reaction like that, I would like to see a bit more upside there, even on the 15 as well. And then, yeah, hopefully take some shorts off the back of that. But in terms of both Euro and pound, I'm bearish on those two currencies. So I'm only looking to short. But because of the price action in Euro, I like a deeper correction before buying. Pound USD, I like a deeper correction as well. But it's the same idea as last week, just looking for the breaking retest of this low. Hope you can find some shorts off the back of that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I would be a bit careful on that reaction of NFP, but still being bearish. Yusuf. Okay, shorts UJ in the 15, but the 4 hour doesn't seem bearish to me. I do think there's more downside to be had. I think UJ is quite sideways, to be honest. It's not the clearest market to trade. But I am bearish on UJ on the 4 hour chart. I'll go over why in a moment, but I do agree it's not the cleanest chart to trade. It's not the top of my watch list, to be honest. I've probably got about 6 or 7 pairs which I'd rather trade than UJ, but I'll tell you why I expect more downside. Trev, are you bullish or bearish in dollar? Choose one. Well, I've already chosen one, but again, as a trader, I kind of want to choose both anyway, because why would I want to limit myself to just one direction when I can trade both? But for the dollar, as I've been saying, I'm short-term bullish, but long-term I'm undecided because the trend for me in the DXY still looks bearish and I'm not seeing any kind of sustained momentum that would tell me to look for a reverse. But with the dollar at the moment, based on the swing we just saw last week, I'm looking for buyers in this area. So I'm looking for a bullish move. But long-term, I'm kind of undecided because the bearish trends still at play, strong rejection on NFP. I feel like potentially the trend could still continue lower. But as for now, I quite like the buys off that area. But at the same time, I want to be flexible. I don't want to limit myself to one bias because there's been many times where you focus on a particular bias, you miss out on the opportunity in the other direction just because you're just stubborn. So at the moment, bullish, but I don't really have a concrete long-term bias right now. As for dollar yen, yeah, I'm actually pretty bearish on dollar yen. I do think more downsides likely to be had, but that's more of like a bias for the next few weeks, not necessarily I expect us to completely sell off now. And the reason why I have that bias is because I'm looking at this larger structure. I'm looking at these, there's a fly right there. I'm looking at these major lower highs and I'm simply betting on another one happening. So we've got one over there, second one over there, and potentially a third. And if price does successfully reject this area and possibly puts a third lower high in, I do think price can make its way back to support here at 140. So in my book, I'm pretty bearish on dollar yen long term, especially after a corrective move to the upside as well. It's not like we're seeing like an aggressive bullish move. This is very corrective. So I do think price is likely to spill over and reach support again in the next few weeks. This is, of course, the weekly chart, so take that into consideration. So for that reason, I'm pretty bearish. And looking at the 4-hour chart, which has been somewhat bullish though, but because of this aggressive reaction, this inverse V-shaped pattern, I do expect to see more downside. Let me just move that out of the way. So you got that strong impulse and then very strong impulse back down. So that's your impulse, which again, your inverse V-shaped pattern. Normally does mean more downside. So I do expect us to sell off and at least reach support here, but maybe we could still bounce from here as well. So I'm not looking for the drop to happen right now. It could, like I said, it could take a few weeks to happen and we could consolidate in that time as well. But at least for this week, I do feel like we'll just see a continuation of that bearish momentum. So that's all I can favor right now. Yeah, that's all I can kind of have a bit of confidence with. Because we could still see maybe another swing to the upside or a bit of a consolidation, which could make things a bit messy. As for the 50-minute chart, same logic really. Really strong drop there. We kind of slowed down a little bit, maybe coming a bit flat, but I would still be looking for selling opportunities to take it back down again. I'd probably wait to see if we can get a deeper correction just based on how price is moving. So I'd wait for price to kind of correct a bit before shorting. And then hopefully you can see some shorts maybe later in the week off the back of that. But yeah, dollar yen, I like the idea for shorts as well. I probably wouldn't short the 15-minute charts because of how price is looking. I like the idea of some shorts at this level here. prior resistance. Hopefully can act to resistance again. That's kind of where I would like to short and put a stop loss above. Even like an hourly chart, 4 hour chart makes sense, and then see if I can catch the swing. 15, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the 15 in this scenario here. But if we could see a pullback into that area, I think that could look good. But yeah, I am kind of looking at some more yen strength this week. I mean, looking at the yen basket. Looking at the yen basket, especially with the close we had on the daily, on the 3-day, on the weekly even, I do feel like we can see a bit more upside off the back of what we saw last week. But again, long term for the yen, still very much up in the air. We still got a lot of resistance above us, which I wouldn't be surprised if we do move into and then just sell off completely, to be honest. If I drop to the daily, nice reaction there, nice strong close. But I wouldn't necessarily bet on this being like a complete bottom and then price a completely shifting trend. What I will say is, though, I like the aggressive nature of this sell and the aggressive nature of that buy, which leads me to expect something like this over the next few days, and then we'll go from there. Which again is kind of what I'm looking at for quite a lot of the USD pair, a lot of the yen pair, sorry. Bit of a correction of the momentum we saw, continuation, and then maybe long term we do turn around. But we'll probably discuss that later this week or maybe next week. Annie, what is up? Welcome to the stream. What level do you think gold will retrace before reaching 34 level? Again, please check. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well as well. So yeah, in terms of gold, so I'm very kind of neutral right now for gold. I'm not really trying to do anything, to be honest. I like the resistance up here. I like support here. There's a bit of a level there which might give us a bit of a reaction. Depends how we react in the lower time frames. But of course, after NFP, we did see a very bullish dollar, very bullish gold, sorry, which gave us a really strong candle close, which probably does take us back to resistance. But because of the nature of the market, I'm not really trying to intervene or look for opportunities within the middle of the range. My kind of bet is, if we're at the low or at the high, that's kind of where I want to find my opportunities. But as for a pullback, I would look for this area. Again, nothing I would get excited myself. I don't like the idea of looking for pullbacks in a range. I think fundamentally it's a little bit flawed just because of the nature of the market. So not something I would look for, but in terms of market structure, I'd always look for the previous low or the previous high that the market broke through for a retest. So in this case, since we did break through this high here, I think that would be a nice space for a buy, or even this area here too. Both areas which gave us a very strong break with the same candle. I think logically speaking, those are two areas to keep an eye on for a buy. Again, I don't like the opportunity really. I understand there's a lot of momentum there and you're looking to continue it, which makes sense. But just because of the nature of the market, I think you're just going to be exposed to a lot more fluctuation, and typically the market doesn't always move clean in this manner. So you might see the continuation, but the odds of you kind of getting wicked out randomly are a lot higher in these scenarios versus when we're in a trending condition where momentum is very much in your favor. Pullbacks do perform a lot better in this area, and simple patterns like breaking retest, they do perform a lot better there. But yeah, I can see the momentum and a lot of people looking to try and find the continuation of that. I can see the logic there, but the conditions for me are very, very flat and range bound. So personally, I'm staying away and kind of waiting to see breakouts before I try and follow it. But yeah, if you're looking for pullbacks of this move, I'd say either 33.30 or 33.12. I think makes the most sense for a buy. Especially if you can drop to like an hourly or 30-minute chart to trade that. I think those two levels make the most sense. But yeah, not the biggest fan of gold, I must say, just because of how flat the market is. and silver's becoming a little bit more flat as well. But yeah, USD did see some weakness, and of course that did help out gold rally. I think dollar is still likely to see a bit more downside as well. I'm looking for buys in this area, so if the dollar is to fall to get there, that should help gold push up higher, of course. But once we are at these areas, I'm going to be looking for a buy there for the dollar. As for my watch list this week, I've got quite a few on there. As I mentioned, the two CHF pairs I'm looking at, Aussie Swiss and CAD CHF. I like the longs for those two. As I mentioned, for the USD pairs, I like the shorts for Euro Dollar. So looking at shorts around this area, if we can get there, that'll be very nice. Pound USD, I like the shorts for this one as well. A retest of support there, term resistance. That to me looks like a very nice place for a short. Not too far away. Hopefully we can get there in the next few days. Aussie dollar, I quite like the look. I quite like the look of this one. Broke out of the ascending channel and simply just looking for the retest of that before continuation back into support and hopefully a lot further as well. So Aussie dollar makes the cut. What else? Out of the yen pairs, I quite like the look of pound yen, Aussie yen on some shorts. If I can spell GBP, not the other way around. So I quite like the look of pound yen, Aussie yen to the downside. You know, really aggressive sell-offs we had last week, especially after some very nice rallies, which I think maybe it was sucked in some buys into that, and then eventually we got the tumble. So I quite like the look of retest of these areas. So nice little pullback, lower high, more downside. Nothing crazy. I'm not necessarily bearish long term with the yen. If I can ride it back into the lows, I think that could be a nice trade in itself. Maybe a bit further, maybe this low here as well. I think that could make a lot of sense. So GJ, I like the shorts there. Aussie yen, I like the shorts as well. So again, similar situation, really nice buy, then sell. You can see we kind of broke out of this consolidation on the daily chart. So this is where we're back and forth, and then finally got the close. So I'm basically just looking for the pullback of that and then the sell into this area, which is where we might turn bullish from as well. So might be looking for buys there, but I quite like Aussie yen on a bit of a sell there to the downside. Euro yen, I'm still keeping an eye for some buys. Probably this might be a trade for next week, but I'm looking for a little bit more of a retracement. Preferably, if you can go and hit the 50 of the fib, that would be nice, but that is still pretty far away. I'm not too sure we'll get there. But I quite like the buys on Euro yen still looking for a pushback to the high there. Ever since we got the breakout of this area, it's made me very, very bullish on the pair. It would be nice to see a retracement of that. If we can smash into that, that would be great. But we'll see if we can get a pullback that far. So I quite like pound yen shorts, Aussie yen shorts. Any other yen pairs? Dollar, New Zealand, no. So yeah, those are the two out of the yen pairs. Euro, pound, Aussie out of the USD pairs. The crosses, I'm keeping a close eye on New Zealand CAD. I really like the shorts for this one. I feel like this is getting ready for a really big sell. Hasn't quite given the green light just yet. I would still say things are a little bit especially with the consolidation. I'm waiting for us to break to the downside out of this range. And hopefully when we do, I can start to target some of the lows here. I do think there's a big sell to be had, but I do want price to kind of really clear this area first. And then I'll look for some shorts for me to the downside. And we'll speak more about that, especially for the pullbacks. But right now, kind of just dilly-dallying at this area, so I'm not really seeing much of an opportunity. But I do expect us to break out and break to the downside, and hopefully I can ride some shorts there. We've had multiple attempts to try and rally, completely failed all of them. I do expect us to see a big sell-off. So New Zealand CAD shorts I like, and pound CAD shorts I like the look of as well. This one has been bullish for quite some time, but to me it looks like it's running out of steam, particularly at the tri-weekly chart. We've seen a lot of wicks to the upside, a nice bearish close there. Despite all that momentum, failing to see a continuation, I do think we are getting ready for a bit of a sell-off here in the next few weeks. So I'm liking the idea of a pullback, especially with us breaking the floor on some of those areas. I'm liking the pullback into this kind of area of a range consolidation. And if I can get a stop loss above the highs here, that would be great. And then looking to target this low here, which is 1.805. So yeah, pound CAD keeping a close eye on. I do think it's on this last legs, and there's a lot of downside to be had. And yeah, that pretty much is about it. And then also USD, which I did mention earlier, but this might still, yeah, it's still got a bit to go. I'm still kind of waiting for another big rejection before I really do start looking to short this one. But yeah, there's quite a few on the on the watch list right now. Quite a few pairs I'm waiting for. A couple yen pairs, few USD pairs, New Zealand CAD, Euro NZD, Aussie Swiss, CAD Swiss. So yeah, quite a few pairs I'm liking the look of. There's some others as well which have potential, but I don't think they're quite set up yet, or not looking as quite good as I want them to be. But that can change as well. So I could potentially even add a few more to the watch list as the week progresses. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Also, the indices had a really aggressive reaction on Friday as well. If you look at NAS, actually not even just Friday, the day before as well. But you can see NAS really aggressive reaction there. If I go to the S&P, really aggressive reaction there. If I go to US 30, that kind of even broke the lows there, which is pretty significant. Yeah, it came into the highs, failed miserably. And you've got the DAX as well, which had a pretty big sell-off as well. Broken out that consolidation, really nice candle to the downside. So in terms of the indices, I do feel like there's more downside to be had for them. Looking at the DAX now, and I mean, this could be a higher low, but even if it is a higher low, I would probably expect us to come right back down if you create a new high. But yeah, we've got solid support in this area, solid support which we turn resistance. Again, I wouldn't get too overly greedy with the sells for the indices. I think they're still very much bullish markets. I wouldn't really say we're in like a bearish phase. I'll just think of this as retracement. So coming back into a key level like this, around 24K, I think a smart place for a short. But I probably wouldn't even bank on us coming back to lows there, to be honest. I think we can get a reaction, but I can see a world where we react, put a higher low in, and then even potentially break through and continue higher. I think a nice trade in terms of the buys would be if we can crack back above this level and use it as support. I think that would be a nice buy, and then you can just target the high of the range. That's a clean trade in my opinion. You got the big fake out, wiping up the lows here, back above support again, should see a nice rally back to resistance. So in terms of a bullish outlook, I think that could be a nice trade, but of course we do need to break back above the level to get that. If we don't, if we struggle, show resistance, I think shorts look good, but like I said, I wouldn't be too overly confident. For me, the market is still very much bullish, despite the sell-off we had. It might even form like a really corrective channel, something like this, roughly. I can see price doing like something like that for a while. So I wouldn't be too overly confident on the shorts. I do think the market as a whole is still pretty bullish, but that makes sense for some shorts to me. As for like NAS 100, which again did sell off pretty aggressively, as we can see there. This one was in a very aggressive ascending channel here. Eventually it decided to put that to an end and go for a pretty big correction. There's the high over here, which I feel like is still possible for a retest. It's a really aggressive drop, I must say. And I still think we can see some downside. There's a brief area of supply here. Very, very brief. I feel like that could be an area to keep an eye on, especially when the market's quite oversold. Even coming back to support there as well. So I like the idea of shorting the NAS, but again, nothing crazy. I think shorts on the NAS look good, but I could see a world where we do something like this. We sell off maybe for a day, put a higher low, and then continue higher. This is still worthwhile to profit from, but again, I wouldn't necessarily look for a humongous move. Just because we're still, showing respect to the overall trend, which is still at play, despite the bearish momentum we've seen. It doesn't necessarily mean that the trend's reversing or, a big bearish trend's going to start. I think the market's still very, very much bullish. This pullback was just necessary correction to keep the market healthy. So I'm still pretty bullish with the NAS, but that momentum looks really good. So I think there's still a likely continuation of it, just not a massive one. So keep that in the back of the mind for now. In terms of US30 as well, US30 looks more interesting because this actually broke support. So US30 actually did clear this area, which I think is quite significant. It shows to me that resistance here is holding very, very well. And the sellers did a pretty good job at that level. I did still suggest this is a nice area for a buy. So I think if price can get that, that still makes sense for a buy, 43K. Really aggressive momentum, and of course you did get the break of structure there, so I think sales still look good coming back into this area or even this area slightly above. I think those are still great places to short from, especially if you can see some healthy rejections in those areas. But yeah, again, it would depend on price getting there and how you do react. So yeah, US30, I think long term still very much bullish bias. No significant break of structure to make me bearish or at least make me neutral on the pair. I would still say I'm very, very bullish on the market, and I do think we'll smash straight through these highs at some point. But we might have a bit more downside left, and this is still a very nice place for a buy as well. So if you can get there, I think keep a close eye, especially if you're looking for a big swing trade. That could be the area for it. Yusuf, thoughts on GJ? Okay, looking for longs because of momentum coming from the resistance level. Okay. I'm pretty much bearish intraday for GJ. But we can take a look-see. So you're looking for longs from, I assume, the support level here you mentioned. You said resistance, but I think you're probably referring to this level here. Let me know if I'm incorrect or not. But yeah, the reason why I'm looking for shorts again is because of the momentum we saw on Friday there. Really aggressive move down, especially after the failure to see a continuation with this move. And the fact that the market trend is still very, very corrective, which tells me that there's not a lot of bullish momentum here. And I think there's a good likelihood we could actually see even more downside and maybe even a reversal of that bullish trend, because there wasn't much momentum to follow it, and now we're seeing signs of failed continuation as well. So I'm pretty bearish here in pound yen. I haven't technically broken any major structure, which is this level here, so I can understand, price still respecting that level. Might see some buys there, but I think it's only a matter of time before we do actually break that support level, and especially after seeing that momentum there, I do think price can correct and just see a lower high and continue. So I'm pretty bearish from pound yen, just looking for the continuation of that. I'm not necessarily looking for a huge move down. I think if you can catch a short from there back into the low, it makes a lot of sense, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm really looking for the continuation of that momentum. I wouldn't be looking to buy. There's no evidence of trend continuation. We tried to continue the trend, but failed miserably over here and sold off pretty aggressively. So that move alone puts me off looking to buy GJ. Because if this trend was going to continue, should have done it over here. The fact that we sold off aggressively, of course, anything can happen. We can continue from here, but I think it's very, very unlikely. And that's all trading for me, just making educated guesses of what the next likely move is. And I would still fancy more downside. So yeah, I can see price holding to support, but that doesn't really do too much for me. It's more so that, okay, we respected support. I think maybe a bit of a pullback can occur for us to go and attack it again and maybe break through. Jam, like the name. What's up? What about CAD CHF and EuroCAD? Okay, I can take a look at those pairs for you. Yusuf, that level, but I'm not targeting the high. Okay. Where are you targeting for your long trade then? I'll go take a look at CAD CHF and EuroCAD in the meantime. So CAD CHF, I did mention this one earlier. I quite like the look of it. I'm actually looking for some longs on the daily candle. If it can close well, might get long on the close of this candle. Stop loss underneath here somewhere. I'll try and target this area here, which is where all the support is lying, and then maybe this area next afterwards. I might call it a day there. But yeah, the way I see CAD CHF right now is that we had a consolidation. Price broke out the consolidation, came back for a retest of it, and now we're seeing a successful kind of reaction off that. So a strong close in the daily there tells me that, okay, the buyers are involved. We're seeing price form a higher low with this low here, and now we can probably see a continuation. So I'm pretty bullish from CAD CHF. I feel like we're forming a bit of a bottom, of course, after just taking up the lows here as well. Again, the market is still long-term bearish, so we have to be a bit careful of that. And if we do get into a trade and start to see some signs that, okay, we're struggling, maybe it's time to get out of the trade and call it an early night. But I quite like the price action here, especially the retest of the range and the strong push. This candle does have 10 hours and 37 minutes left before it does close, so it could look quite a lot different between now and then. But if it can look similar to how it's looking now, I'll be more than happy to take some buys there on CAD Swiss on the daily, stop loss underneath this wick, and see how far we can take it. No problem. Long CAD CHF market open. Nice. Congrats. So you're probably positioned around here somewhere then. I'm looking to see if I can join you on that daily candle. But yeah, the way I see it, we've got a nice consolidation. Price broke out of that, and it's simply just come back for the retest of that consolidation. And this to me looks like the higher low of that move now. So I do expect CAD CHF rally. Like I said, I kind of want to see the daily candle close well to really back it up. But looking at the lower time frames, I think we're looking good anyway. Because we did break out of the consolidation, then we broke back in, which was a slight red flag. But now that price is kind of showing momentum and picking up again, I think you're looking pretty good. I think in terms of the location, we're a really healthy location. Our all-time lows for CAD Swiss. We just swept these lows out as well. So we're the lowest we've ever been, and particularly in FX, we do tend to correct ourselves. After creating all-time lows, after creating all-time highs, we do tend to kind of reverse and have a little bit of a correction. Even if the market is going to see some new all-time lows, probably will have a bit of a pullback first, just like we did over here. We created all-time lows, bit of a pullback before we did, continue that. So yeah, I quite like the buys there for CAD Swiss. Let's take a look at EuroCAD. EuroCAD, I do think more downside as well. It's kind of a similar logic in terms of, okay, another consolidation, perhaps a retest here for a short, kind of looking to bank on a bit of CAD strength here, because of course if CAD strength does come into town, then CAD CHF should fly, and of course EuroCAD should fall. I'm pretty bearish on its counterpart, Pound CAD, and because they're kind of like pretty much positively correlated, I do think EuroCAD will see some downside as well. But yeah, EuroCAD to me looks like, again, another consolidation, strong drop, perhaps a correction before continuing. I was liking the possibility of a kind of like a retest of this support level, but we did crack above that. So yeah, to me, really aggressive move down after the high forms, and I'm basically looking at this as your impulse leg, and this is a correction. So we are in a healthy area to short from. I want to see a little bit more evidence of rejection before jumping in for a short, especially after such an aggressive bullish candle. So if you can show some more wicks, maybe a nice bearish engulfing candle, I think that could be a nice entry signal. Stops above the high, and again looking for a push into the low, and probably a lot further as well. And what I quite like about EuroCAD is where we're trading on the higher time frames. If you look to the left, this is major monthly resistance. Tapped into it once, twice, a third time. All of them we've seen really aggressive reactions, and now we're at the same area again. So shorts do make sense based on where we're situated, based on the fact that we're in major higher time frame resistance. That could encourage us for a bit of a sell-off, and I quite like the price action we're seeing. So yeah, if I could see a bit more rejection here, because we've had a big bullish candle, then price has been a little bit flat since then. So maybe another failed attempt to break higher, big wick, that could be nice. I think that's a nice entry. Then yeah, push back to the lows at 1.57685. Where are your targets for those trades, Jam? How big a move or how far are you looking to take it? I kind of still do prefer pound CAD, but I think both are due a bit of a sell-off. Maybe even Euro CAD might sell off a little bit harder because Euro's been a bit more bullish than pound, so I feel like maybe Euro needs a bit more of a correction than pound does. Yeah, that's a big maybe. But yeah, I'm pretty bearish in pound CAD as well. I do feel like this one's likely to come back into support at 1.8 and probably further as well. And it does look to me that CAD is gaining some strength too. I know oil's been pretty weak, so I mean that's not going to help CAD out there, but for whatever reason, I kind of do back some CAD strength. But you can see oil's looking pretty bearish right now. If we do break the floor here, that would make me pretty bearish in oil. Then I'll be looking for a push down to the lows there if we break the floor. Euro CAD back down to 1.5744. So that would be just underneath the lows here. Yeah, I think that's a pretty logical target. Basically just looking for the continuation of that bearish leg, not looking for anything too crazy. So yeah, I can see the logic there as well. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. So yeah, I would expect us to get there. The fact that we're failing at highs in the fashion we've done, the aggressive momentum, I think we do eventually get to a target. It's just kind of how do we form that lower high? Do we drop now? Do we move sideways a little bit? Do we spike higher? I mean, worst case, you can always look for a re-entry. The only way I wouldn't have that bearish bias for Euro CAD is if we were to rally through the high here. If price does break through the high there, then yeah, I'll drop the bearish bias, or at least become a bit more neutral in the pair. But for now, yeah, I quite like the shorts here. And of course, Euro CAD, pound CAD, quite heavily related to Euro USD and pound USD as well. So I tend to keep an eye on both of those currency pairs too. And Euro USD, pound USD are both pairs which I think are due to fall as well. CAD Chef 0.588. But I'll CAD Chef only if Euro CAD can gain momentum. Okay. CAD Chef 0.588. Okay, that's back at the high there roughly as well. Actually, not too far away from 588. 588 is just above our heads there. And if you enter that market open, that's somewhere around here. I mean, you're looking pretty good there. Momentum's looking pretty much on your side as well. I mean, I'll probably just move stops in profit and just kind of see how we do, especially if target's not too far away. But yeah, CAD Chef, I do fancy a big kind of swing trade with this one, so I'm kind of getting ready for that one. Okay, 5834. 5834. Yeah, it's around here somewhere. So yeah, looking pretty good there. I'd imagine stops underneath the wick there as well. Nice 1 to 2 maybe. decent trade there. Decent trade. Yeah, I kind of fancy the longer term move, but we have seen that reaction, and I wouldn't be surprised if we go and hit that area before the end of the day as well. But I quite like the daily candle to get long there, so I'm going to see how that does shape up with the CHF. But to me, CHF looks like it's on its last leg. It's been very, very bullish, and kudos to CHF, but I feel like Swiss yen could be turning around, CAD Swiss turning around, Aussie CHF turning around as well. So I'm going to keep a very, very close eye. It does need to break out though before I would enter. I wouldn't enter in the consolidation. Market's looking way too flat for that. So I will be patient with that, but I do think we can turn around. I do think there is more upside. As for some of the cryptocurrencies, BTC's been pretty bearish. We were looking pretty bearish last week. We did break out the consolidation. Didn't see too much on NFP. Bit of a reaction, but nothing crazy. Especially considering what happened with some other USD related markets, indices, gold and silver. Even of course the FX pairs as well. BTC, not much of a reaction, kind of just saw some upside, which makes sense. But looking at the lower time frames, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue falling. We did just about hit that level there. So I mean, actually, my bad. That's Friday's candle there. That's Sunday's. We did see a bit of downside there on Friday, but Sunday we did see a bit of a reaction as we came back into the high there, which makes sense given the fact that that was our prior all-time high. We smashed right through, and we haven't seen a prior retest till now. So that's the first time prices retest in this area. Now, BTC for me is still very much a bullish market, but the fact that we have broken quite well at that consolidation, I can see a world where we do kind of correct to see more downside. So I still quite like the shorts here for BTC. Yes, long term still favor more upsides, but I quite like the shorts at that area. Solana targets 126. Then if we're going to hold 95 to 96. Okay. I haven't looked at Solana much. Let's go Coinbase. So your targets are, I think that was the last time I looked at Solana, maybe April, yeah. I said if price can break through that, that might open the door to some more downside, but it didn't. It respected that level. Well done, Solana. Not looking too good, I must say, though. Especially with that candle on the weekly chart. The way we kind of just swept the highs there, then aggressively closed pretty bearish. I wouldn't be surprised if we do roll over. So yeah, I can see a move to 120 as well. This is the big level. Let me just move that out of the way. This is like the big level of support, which price has been testing since April 2024, so over a year now. Price has been testing that area, failing to break through. Looks to me that we're due probably another retest of that same zone. It looks like we just about retested the highs here as well. Somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern. Left shoulder, there's your head, there's your right shoulder. Wouldn't be surprised if we go and smash into the neckline of the pattern and maybe even break through as well, especially with the failed attempt at the last high. Not looking too good there for Solana. I feel like if we can clear resistance here, that would be a very positive outlook there for Solana, because then I would just expect us to rally back to highs, and we'll see what happens after that. It was a pretty strong rejection there, I must say. Momentum has kicked in pretty bearish there too. So I would suggest if maybe we could see something like this happen. I feel like that could be a nice trade on the retest. Similar to kind of how dollar yen's looking at the moment. But you said 126 and then 95, 96, which would be the low here. yeah, I could see that happening as well. I mean, this is a pretty crucial level, so I'd like to see evidence of us breaking through that before I would probably give targets below that. But that 125, 126 area, I can see price doing that. I mean, essentially it's a range really, minus that kind of fake out, and we've just respected the high of the range, so naturally looking for a push into the low. Ethereum's been quite interesting. I've been keeping a close eye on Ethereum because we've had a lovely rally. Lovely rally over the past few weeks now, and price rejected that area, retested that support, and then flew, and then we smashed into resistance, which is this level here. And of course, you've got the all-time highs only just slightly above. So yeah, I mean, I do feel like price is still getting ready for a break of that level at 4K, and that's probably going to take us back to the all-time high and probably beyond that at 5K. But we do need to see the break of this level. I feel like if we get the break of that level, that's Ethereum looking healthy, and that's probably going to take us back to highs. There is a world where we do respect this area and do roll back over. I mean, I could probably even see price maybe doing something like this, like a slow retracement and then a big buy. I could see that happening. I think that would be like a nice area for some longs there for Ethereum. But what I'm really waiting for is the break of that resistance at 4K. Break through that, I think Ethereum's in play. At the moment, we just had a strong rejection from the high. We'll see if we can get to 2,900 for some longs, but that could take a while. And then XRP, we smash into all-time highs as well. And a bit of a drop, but I still like the longs from here. I like XRP because we're still making new all-time highs, still showing that the buyers are present. And not really seeing any crazy momentum on the bears either. It's just a very kind of slow corrective grind lower. So I quite like what I'm seeing. But yeah, in terms of the major cryptocurrencies, I'll still say everything does look bullish. Maybe not so much with Solana, but BTC, Ethereum, XRP even still looks pretty bullish there. Solana a bit flat, arguably forming a bit of a head and shoulder pattern. But yeah, there's room to the downside, but I still quite like the buys for majority of them. It will be interesting to see how the indices develop as well if they do continue to sell off, but it really does depend on what the dollar's going to do. And that move on NFP on Friday did kind of skew things up a little bit, because I'm still looking to buy the dollar, but after such an aggressive reaction, I'm going to be quite cautious and wait for a deeper correction before getting play. Because especially when retracements do look like this, they do tend to give you deep retracements anyway, because of how aggressive momentum is. We haven't broke structure or anything or done something that tells me that we're going to reverse, but how we do retrace is all very, very important. Not just in terms of, okay, where are we retracing to? It's also how are we retracing? How is price getting there? Because typically, you know, price moves in two ways. It's either a very slow move or it's a very quick move. One implies a lot of momentum, a lot of selling pressure, you know, higher, you know, bigger players, you know, making moves in the market, you know, taking off orders, adding orders, you know, would imply that a lot of momentum is there. That's kind of the reasoning behind it. You know, retail traders are not going to cause, especially in FX market, to move very quickly. We simply just don't have the power to do that in terms of capital wise. So, you know, bigger players are going to be the ones doing those moves. When things are quite corrective, it means there's not much pressure involved, lack of impulse and momentum means markets are a lot slower and easier to reverse. So when things are quite corrective, especially in a trend, well, if a market is already impulsive and then seeing a slow move, naturally I'm expecting it to continue to the upside at some point. But if I'm in a trend and I'm seeing an impulsive move, which we kind of saw here on the way up, then we're seeing another impulsive move back down, it kind of does cancel out the momentum a little bit. Not in terms that I'm expecting a complete reversal. Depends how big the bearish move is. In this case, it's only kind of 50%. If it was like 100%, then yeah, I'd expect a reversal. But if it's kind of like 50% or below, then I'm still going to favor the continuation. But because it's impulsive, I do think we'll have a deeper correction before we do fly off. So I'm kind of waiting for this phase to come in, and that might take us back down to this area before I do take the buy. So yeah, because of that price action NFP, it's definitely skewed things a little bit, and I'm waiting for bigger corrections now before getting involved. And that all stems from how price is moving, and that's something I'm keeping a close eye on. Just as much in terms of support, resistance, and levels, I've got to keep a close eye on how price moves, which is one of the reasons why I've been looking to buy the dollar, because we've been so corrective on the way down here, haven't been trending with much momentum, and because of that, I've been looking for counter trend moves. I've been looking for buys because I'm seeing evidence of the momentum slowing down, and now I'm seeing really aggressive momentum from the buyers. That's showing me that, okay, the market's probably likely to continue higher at this stage anyway. So I'm still pretty bullish on the dollar, and only looking at opportunities that do favor that. But I kind of want to see a bit more retracement first before getting long. That's pretty much the same outlook across all other USD pairs, maybe apart from New Zealand dollar, which looks really, really chaotic. But yeah, still looking to buy the dollar, still looking to kind of buy the yen as well. I think those are the two things I want to pay attention a lot this weekend. Maybe selling the Swiss franc as well. But yeah, I mean, it looks like we are seeing retest of this area. How are we looking on the hourly chart? I feel like if maybe we get a strong close, that could be a nice entry. It's still quite aggressive because not much of a pullback there, but you are relying on this momentum continuing. Sometimes when things are aggressive as this, we don't always see a big pullback. So if we can see a strong close, that would be nice. And then from there, we can probably continue higher. But yeah, I really like that close there on the daily, especially after such a bearish close on the previous candle. Then price pretty much reversed completely on the next one. That kind of tells me that, okay, despite that bearish momentum, yeah, that was probably to suck in some sellers right at the end of a trend as well, at the bottom of a trend. And then we've seen the fresh buys come into play. So I do think we can continue with some more upside. In terms of some of the other yen pairs we haven't talked about, CAD yen to me also looks okay for some shorts, but I do worry again about how far, because again, this trend is still at play, higher highs and higher lows. You know, just because we had that one bearish candle doesn't necessarily dictate that we are going to completely sell off. So yes, I do think a bit more downside is likely. But I do wonder as we approach these areas, you've got support there as well, if we're going to turn around and see another higher low. So in terms of the shorts, I think they look good. But I think maybe in terms of actually taking some trades, maybe you want to drop to like an hourly chart to do that. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Maybe like an hourly chart to do that. Simply just looking for the breaking retest of this level and then some shorts. We are a little bit flat, but maybe a strong close like that. That could be good. If we have a deeper correction, that would be nice as well. I'm not too sure if we will. Jam, I'm long UJ. I think yen is weak. Yeah, overall, I think yen is weak as well. I mean, we just looked at the yen basket, which of course is the yen against all the other major currencies, dollar, euro, pound, Aussie. So the yen is weak because, of course, it has been falling. So I do agree with that. But we have shifted quite aggressively in the past 24 hours in the market. So I do think we can see a bit more of a pullback there for the yen. And then maybe we do continue with that bearish bias. Because I do agree there's nothing to tell me that, okay, it was something just going to rally like that. I know we've got a strong candle there. but that alone doesn't necessarily dictate this happening. So yeah, I do agree yen overall is still weak, but because we've been so corrective, I feel like there's a pullback due before we do continue lower. There's a pretty big level of support here, turn resistance. I feel like maybe 6,600 is where we could continue lower. So yeah, I kind of do fancy a bit more upside. In terms of dollar yen, this one as well, I do fancy a bit more downside as well. But again, it might just be short term. I probably wouldn't take the trade further than that low, 146. I think that could be a nice place for a buy, because there is some type of uptrend here, although it is quite corrective. So I feel like that could be a nice place for a buy. I think longer term, the market is still due something like this, but I think we'll speak about that in a few weeks' time. Don't want to jump the gun. As of now, this is kind of what I expect, like a correction, a continuation of that momentum there. Really aggressive sell-off, looking for a pullback of that, then another push down. Then maybe in terms of the buys, you might start to respect the low and then reverse. So yes, I do agree yen is weak, but of the reaction we had on Friday, I do think that strength is likely to continue for a little bit longer. Then maybe the weakness does kick in, maybe towards the end of the week. Danny, US 30, sure thing. We can do that, no problem. Varus, downside can be huge with them to the upside, looking at core report for GBP. Okay, so heavily by institutions. Well, I am pretty bearish on a few pound pairs, pound CADs, pound NZD, pound Aussie, pound USD, pound yen for the meantime. So yeah, those pound pairs I'm looking to short. Pound CHF, no, especially where it's trading. But pound CAD, pound NZD, pound Aussie, pound USD, and a bit of pound yen. Those pairs I'm pretty bearish on. So from a technical standpoint, I do definitely agree there. I'll go through pound NZD for you, like shorts from 2.26. Okay, we'll take a look. I'll go for US 30 first, then I'll discuss that. So US 30, yeah, pretty bearish on this one as for now. Long term still pretty bullish, and I like the buys from this zone here at 43k. There's a pretty significant level of resistance around 45k, which of course we respected. Then we just broke through the lows here pretty aggressively as well. So I think intraday, US 30 is still likely to fall. But once we get here, then we can start to talk about the buys again. I did mention this area is a nice place to short from. Got the support here, turn resistance, which again, we could see some downside there as well. I probably would prefer the deeper correction. There's a brief supply zone there. I think you probably see it better for a different brokerage. But yeah, I do like the shorts here for US 30, especially just looking to continue that momentum. It makes sense, especially on like a hourly chart, 30-minute chart. I feel like you can find some nice intraday opportunities there. And then from a long perspective, this is where I put my attention. Retesting that high with a lovely breakout, no retest prior to this. So fresh area of support. I do feel like price can definitely bounce from that level. And then yeah, we'll see if we can get the break of that resistance long term. But for me, very, very bullish for US 30 long term still. I know we've had a big drop for a lot of the indices, but I just feel this is just a much needed correction for all of them before we do get the continuation. So if you are intraday, I think shorts look good. Just looking to continue the momentum from last week. Then once we start trading around 43k, I think that's where we can start to speak about some buys and take some reversals. As for pound NZD, so I'm pretty bearish with this one. It's been very choppy. It's consolidating, so it's difficult to actually take any really nice trades with this one. But the way I see it, price is just forming resistance, rejecting it, forming support, rejecting it. And we've been back and forth ever since. I do think eventually we are going to break to the downside. I'm looking at the long-term outlook of pound NZD. Yes, it has been a nice bullish trend. But I do feel like the market's starting to form a bit of a top and could be getting ready for a bit of a, not necessarily a reversal, but maybe a bit of a bearish counter trend, which lasts for a while. It could just be a big pullback before maybe the price does continue to the upside. But to me, we've been in a nice trend. We formed this top. Price has been dancing back and forth. And I do feel like we're likely to break lower. Yeah, in terms of shorting the market, you just want to be as high as possible, really, or at least at resistance. So around the 2.265 area, I think looks nice for a short. There are some slight lower highs coming into play, but yeah, if I can get a stop loss above there, that would be nice. And then yeah, targets back at support. Nothing more doesn't need to be more complicated than that, really. Just looking to short high and take some profits at the low, and maybe if you're lucky, you can hold through the low as well if it looks like we're getting a breakout. But pound NZ to me is just a ranging market. I do expect it to break out to the downside eventually, but I wouldn't get too excited to jump the gun just yet, because this consolidation can continue for however long it wants. But in terms of entries, yes, 2.265 I like. Even 2.27 looks good as well. And then, yeah, push back to 2.22. So, pound NZD, I do agree. Bearish bias, I'm looking at that as well. Pound Aussie, which is a very similar pair to pound NZD as well. Pretty much the same situation. You got resistance running through the market there. You got support running through the market here as well. Market's been back and forth, back and forth. It looks like we're trying to break to the downside. I wouldn't say we've got the clear breakout just yet, so we're kind of waiting on that. But I think once we do, then we can get a really nice green light for the shorts. Start looking at some of these areas to target as well. And I feel like pound Aussie's in the same situation, really stretched. Taking out the highs there too. We're likely to see a bit of a move to the downside. So yeah, pound Aussie, pound NZD. I like the shorts. Same page as well, similar areas. What's up, Raj? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. No problem, Yusuf. Have a good one. Appreciate you coming into the stream. Hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. But yeah, pound pairs to me look pretty bearish as well. Just accept pound CHF. I mean, this could still fall, of course. It's just one I wouldn't want to short. Primarily because of where it's trading. Coming into a massive support, you can even extend it over there as well. So yeah, I would not want to be looking to short pound CHF at all. I'm only looking to buy it. It's not my favorite CHF pair, so I probably wouldn't buy it. Aussie CHF or CAD look the better ones. But yeah, I'd probably say this pair and Euro pound. Only pound pairs I'm not really interested in. But pound CAD, I like the shorts for that one. Pound NZD, I like the shorts. Pound Aussie, I like the shorts. Pound USD, I like the shorts. And pound yen as well. I like the shorts. Nice kind of pullback and more downside. But yeah, as for me, I think my focus will be mostly on the CHF pairs going to the end of the day. Seeing if Aussie CHF can give me a nice breakout of this range. If not today, then maybe tomorrow. But I do feel like there's some buys coming out pretty soon with this one. Looks like a bottom is forming. And if I can see some momentum to the upside, I'd be more than happy to take some longs. CAD CHF looks the more likely, so I probably will be in a CAD CHF trade by the end of the day. But I'll wait till the end of the day before confirming that. If I can spell, there we go. So hopefully see a nice candle closure above all the noise. And if I do, that'll be my entry. Stops below the low there. I'll start to target some of those areas with the impression that, okay, CAD CHF looks like it's forming a bottom, and try and take the counter trend move from that. So yeah, CAD Swiss looks good. Aussie CHF looks good. I think that's where my attention will be. I'll keep a close eye on Aussie yen shorts as well. I like this to the downside as well. I think in terms of entries, yeah, I'll probably look for a 4-hour entry with this one. Might not be the best risk reward, but if I can get it into here, I can probably still maybe get away for 1 to 2. So I need to keep an eye on Aussie Aussie yen. So yeah, I'll keep a close eye on that on the 4-hour chart. Pound yen similar, but I think I'll probably just stick with Aussie yen. They're both yen pairs. They're going to do the same thing. And with GJ, we're kind of nowhere near my level just yet, whereas Aussie we're testing it. So I think I'll focus on that one a bit more. Some other yen pairs which look okay, but I think Aussie looks the better one. And again, my plan is not to trade all the yen pairs or all the Swiss pairs or whatever pair. It's just to pick the better ones. It looks like momentum is stepping in now for the yen pairs. How's the basket looking? Yeah, we're starting to push up there as well. So yeah, I do expect to see a bit more upside now. If I do get into any buys, I'll let you guys know, but I may just hold out for the Swiss. And as for the dollar pairs, not quite ready yet. Need a bit more of a pullback. Really aggressive close there on the daily chart. So that does make me want to be extra patient with shorts. Pound USD not as aggressive, so I won't be as patient, but still I need to push into that area anyway. So I do have to be somewhat patient to wait for price to actually get there before shorting. Dollar CAD at a nice level too, but not my favorite USD pair. Again, as you can see, a lot of support resistance here. This could be a nice area for a bounce, but I would be quite cautious from that area. But again, if USD is going to be strong, I do expect to see a bounce. Then Aussie dollar as well, which is another USD pair which I quite like the look of. We broke out this channel finally, and now I'm looking for a lot more downside off the back of that and a retest of this 0.65 area. And then I'll keep an eye on silver and gold if we can get to the extremes of the range anyway for gold anyway. I'll keep an eye on that one, but not the top of my watch list. I don't really see myself trading gold this week, especially with other pairs looking a lot better. And silver, I really like the buys from this level. This is where I can see potentially a big swing trade happening. So if silver can get there, that'd be fantastic. Still looking for a push to the all-time highs as well. That's where I see some long-term buys happening, especially for how aggressive we've been on the retracement, which makes me do expect a bit more downside in the short term there for silver. Nice rally, but really aggressive sell-off. Not like prices rallied and then correctively made a move down. It's been quite aggressive, so I do think we'll probably see a bit more downside from either one of these two areas, 37.6, 38. I think on the lower time frames, they make good for some nice shorts. So silver, a bit more downside as well. Copper's been quite interesting. Very aggressive move last week, as you can see there. I don't trade copper myself, so I don't really keep tabs too much on this pair. I do keep up to date with it, but it's not something I trade, so I'm not as frequent. But really aggressive move. I would still say the market is quite bullish overall, but I think after such an aggressive move like that, you probably do see price spill over a little bit before we do continue. And then platinum as well did see some downside, but nowhere near as aggressive as copper. But platinum's interesting because we have been in a big consolidation quite a while. We finally broke out of that. I think we'll probably do another correction, which could last a while as well. It could be a similar manner to this one, but I do expect us to start trending and picking up some steam. So altogether, pretty bullish for the metals. Silver's the one I'll attack the hardest, probably. Gold's already had a massive rally, so I don't see as much opportunity with gold, even though despite I do see the trend continuing long term. But yeah, I still want to see a bit more downside before I do look to buy silver. And that, guys, does bring us to the end of the stream. Like I said, I'll let you guys know if I do get into any positions, but most likely it will be one of the CHF pairs that I look to get involved. And I'll probably wait for the end of the day before getting involved, but I'll let you guys know. If you have enjoyed the stream, guys, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. Make sure you do hit the bell and share with your friends as well if you're enjoying the content. It does really help out, gets the channel out there some more, so I do really appreciate that. We'll be live again tomorrow, as always, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come say hi, and chat with us. But I do really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.
Introducing Zentrix AI-powered trading signals service. Tired of second-guessing your trades? Zentrix AI scans the markets 24/7 with powerful, proven indicators built to give you clarity. You get 200+ signals every day on 15-minute, 1-hour, 4-hour, and daily charts. We cover Forex, crypto, commodities, indices, and stocks, so you're covered no matter what you trade. And the best part, you get all this delivered 3 ways, every day. Web alerts give you fast, clean access right from your dashboard. Telegram delivers real-time entries, confidence levels, sentiment, and trade duration. And email gives you the full breakdown, including 2 profit target levels and deep market analysis. Just hold $5 worth of ZTR. See what you can achieve with powerful AI trading intelligence by Zentrix. Try it now. And join our Telegram channel.